happened. Summer, you watched that race last night as well. I mean, what were your thoughts on that race last night? Because you sent me a text message of, wow, you couldn't believe what happened. I think everybody thought that race was done with Travis Kvapil at the end.
I came in with 7 laps left.
You came in with 7 laps left, right?
Yes, and I was just like, all right, you know, Travis Kvapil's going to win. Yay, Darnell's helping him and everything. Then all of a sudden, like, they're coming around for the last lap and they're going like 3 wide, like 3 rows back. I was like, what are you guys doing? I'm just like, I sat there and I covered my eyes.
Now, would NASCAR Girl come in with 7 laps to go?
No, NASCAR Girl would watch the whole race, but NASCAR Girl watches the last 7.
Well, that's because you want to know why? Because I actually have another job. Other than just this one.
That's not our fault. You work around the NASCAR schedule. You don't work through the NASCAR schedule. That's how it's supposed to be. Gary Katzner, who only lives and breathes and eats this stuff, call him NASCAR boy, I guess. He's probably earned that title. Gary, when you look at the Truck Series, is it legitimately right now Toyota? And if that's the case, are we going to run into something in the next 2 or 3 years where a lot of teams are just going to say, adios to the Truck Series, we can't compete with Toyota, and we're getting up?
It's already happened. If you look at the field that you have now versus 5 years ago, you really don't have the major players in there like the Hendricks, like the Childress, and things like that. You've already seen team owners cannibalize their truck programs to create the ABC system so they can really help develop their upcoming drivers. The Truck Series does not help develop drivers to take the next step. It's for guys, if they're not quite good enough for the Busch Series, where they can go, and for guys to live out the limelight of their career. I see the Truck Series, as we've said before, it's the senior NASCAR circuit.
Well, and that's exactly what it is, you know, and at some point Mark Martin will be there full-time and whatever else. My question on this is, you know, Mark Martin, who switches to Chevy at the Cup level, okay, and loses his ride with Roush in that 6 truck that's going to win every race, or have a chance to win every race it's in, regardless of who the driver is, I think, at this point. He loses that, but it still is allowed to drive Ford for the Wood brothers. Well, if that's the situation, why, if you're Roush Racing, do you not just let him drive the 6 truck, John?
I mean, he's also driving a Busch car for Hendrick, too.
Right. Hey, so he's all over the place.
He's going to be driving for everybody pretty soon. They said he's going to be running a partial schedule in 2008, so I think he's just going to hang around and drive for everybody.
But if you're Roush, how do you let him go? Knowing that he's going to drive for Ford anyhow, why do you not, if you're Roush, say, well, you can drive for us then and win us some races? Why kick him out all the way?
You know, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense at all. And actually, nothing that Mark Martin's doing lately makes any sense at all. I still think I said this last year, I still think there's something behind the scenes that nobody knows about right now that we're going to find out, you know, years from now whenever he does finally retire.
But he's Brett Favre's dad, the second dad that nobody knew about.
You know,
he can't retire either.
Mark Martin just doesn't make any sense. I mean, he's just a mercenary right now, and, you know, whatever, if that's what he wants to do.
Summer, your thoughts on the Mark Martin situation?
I think that he might have pictures on Jack Roush. He may. Why Jack let him go? I'm not sure. He might have, I don't know, documentations of something, like some tax fraud or something. I don't know. I want to know about Travis Kvapil's truck. Was that actually his, or was that actually Mark Martin's, and was it all set up for Mark Martin?
That's the 6 truck that Martin raced last year. That's what he's going to have all year. Yeah.
You know, one thing they said before the broadcast.
Anybody in there?
Yeah, that's what I
still do the same thing?
Yeah, Eric Darnell's in that truck. Eric Darnell wins a ton more races than what he's going to win in his truck right now, I think.
I don't know about that.
You think they're that close? That one and the 99 are that close?
I can't think that a team is going to go out there and have and race for their sponsors and have that worse of a truck. I mean, if it's in the organization, it's in the organization.
Steve?
You know, it's hard to say. I mean, it's between a 99 and a 6 truck. Yesterday wasn't a really good gauge of Darnell. That was only his 4th or 5th super speedway race. He had no friends out there. So, I mean, he was leading for a while when him and Edwards were hooked up before the 7 laps this summer came in. He was looking very good, and then the Toyotas were able to split him up, and he went to the back.
But you know what I think the biggest question is, and I'll go to Gary on this, the biggest question is this. I was watching the race last night with a bunch of people at a bar, and we were watching the race, and we got into this discussion about whether or not, you know, on certain race teams, there are certain cars set up specifically better with the better equipment and everything else, meaning you have a number 1 driver, number 2, a number 3, and a number 4 if you have a 4-car garage, and the number 1 driver gets all the best equipment, and then it kind of goes down the line. Is that a situation that you have right now in the Truck Series with Martin and Darnell, where Martin's car, well, now Travis Waffle's truck, is going to get the best equipment, and then Darnell gets what's left? Does that happen, or is that just a bunch of guys in a bar talking?
Well, no, it's always been happening. If you look, first of all, it's been the major debate in Formula One for years because you've had a number 1 and a number 2 driver. If I'm Mark Martin, I am not concerned about my own career or even my legacy at this point. If I'm Mark Martin, I'm worried about one person, Matt Martin. How many bridges has Mark Martin burned, not for himself, but for his son coming up? Not only with Roush, but also with Ford. Mark's come out on numerous times and saying, I will not do any PR work for General Motors or Chevrolet.
But Gary,
I am a Ford dealer. I'm a Ford guy. This is just the opportunity that came up.
But Gary, isn't that the reason why he went again? Because Ginn probably did tell him, we'll take care of your kid when he comes up, and maybe Jack wasn't willing to do that.
You have confidence that Ginn Racing is going to be there when Matt comes up. I don't either. And I don't think Mark is stupid enough to think that that's going to be the major organization that his son is going to go towards.
Right, and I agree with that. And John, back to you for a second. I mean, do you think that was a hang-up with Roush Racing, where he didn't want to guarantee, well, how old's Matt Martin now, 15, whatever, something like that, 14, where they didn't want to hold, a spot for Matt Martin to go, oh, yeah, we'll give your kid a ride when he gets here, and that might have been the breaking point with Mark, where Ginn Racing says, hey, we got nobody driving for us anyhow, why not hold it for a 15-year-old?
Yeah, there's been so many stories as far as Mark Martin and all the different things. At one point, he was going to start his own team, kind of a satellite team of Roush, and that was going to be his thing, and then Matt was going to go into it. I think last year he was supposed to be running the Truck Series with Matt.
Right.
and Matt would be running ARCA or something like that, so obviously that is his thing, is getting his son set up ready to go. But as far as where he's going and bouncing around, I just don't understand it.
Is Mark Martin good enough at this point of his career to promise his kid a ride? This isn't Mark Martin of 10 years ago that you're promising a kid a ride for. You're promising Mark Martin at the end of his career that you'll give his kid a ride. Is he good enough? Can he win you enough races to justify holding a spot for his kid?
He's good enough to get the TV time and those type of things that a sponsor really wants, and he's still, he's Mark Martin. Everybody knows who he is. So again, for the sponsor, it's a good thing.
He's your next Petty and Waltrip.
See, and that's now. Wait a second here. First of all,
Not yet.
That was bad.
Don't forget, this guy was in the chase, last 2 years.
Right.
Oh yeah,
right.
I mean he's still competitive by all means. A lot more competitive than Petty and Waltrip are, obviously. And given good equipment, he can do good things with it. And given at least decent equipment, he can still drive it into a top 10 car and still finish in the chase. But I think as the years come on and as his son gets a little bit older and a little bit closer to the signing age,
right,
we might just see him sitting around there just because he's Mark Martin and he sells.
Well, and again, that very well could be part of it, too. But again, when you look at the situation with the Pettys or whatever else, and Kyle Petty, now Kyle Petty is not running 5 races this year. Kyle Petty's not running a full schedule this year at the Cup level. And I think next year you're going to see him branch off a little bit more, and eventually Kyle Petty's going to be out of that ride. And I think part of that is Robbie Loomis finally went up to him and said, dude, if I put somebody else in this car, I'm pretty sure I can do a lot better than what you're doing. Can we talk about you maybe just gradually getting out of this for the betterment of the team and the betterment of the survival of this team and getting developmental drivers in there? I don't think that Ginn Racing has the guts to tell Mark Martin, yeah, you're not going to work for us anymore, because he's the face of Ginn Racing right now.
Well, yeah, and Martin's not at that time yet either, though. Martin still has a few good years in him, and I think we're going to see him in the Truck Series for a good, 4 to 5 years yet. But I think his goal is to run with his kid in the Truck Series. He's going to hang around that long. Now, on the Cup level, I thought he would have been gone by now, but, it's very possible we're going to see him for this year and then probably next year, too.
We'll get back into Mark Martin and the Ginn Racing and everything else at the Cup level. Just finish up the Truck Series here before we get to a break real quick. Let's just go around and find out what we're thinking for the Truck Series this year. Is Toyota's going to be as dominant? And the second question I'll ask everybody is, who's your pick to win the Truck Championship this year? Steve Zautke, we'll go to you first.
Oh, that's Quapple.
Travis Koppel to win it?
Yep.
So obviously you think Ford is going to win it. Will Toyota be as dominant with as many guys in the top 10?
Oh, sure, definitely. I mean, especially the one thing I didn't even notice it until they brought it up on a telecast last night, is that there's only 2 Dodges running.
Right.
I was like, whoa, really? And then I looked and it goes, yeah, there's only 2 of them out there
And
now.
Chase Miller is one of them, so really you only have 1.
Yeah.
Technically. John Wiedmann, your thoughts on the Truck Series this year. Number 1, will Toyota be as successful as they were last year?
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Todd Bodine again to repeat.
Todd Bodine again?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and, it's going to be pretty much 8 out of 10 guys in the top 10 are going to be Toyotas.
Well, as long as him and Skinner can run together and take each other out, then Pop will sneak in.
That works, too.
So.
Nice, very nice. All right, Summer, your picks for the Truck Series. Number 1, can Toyota be as dominant?
Yes, I see the Roush team being the only Fords and the only other make in there except for Toyota.
Roush Fenway.
Yeah, Roush Fenway.
That's going to take a while.
I see the Boston Red Sox truck in there soon. Travis Quappo will be driving. I see Eric Darnell and Travis Quappo being the only guys that are actually in the top 10 as far as outside of Toyota. But I really do see a lot of promise coming from Jack Sprague this year.
Jack Sprague. All right, fair enough. Gary Katzner, your thoughts. Number 1, will Toyota be as dominant? To this point, unanimous that they will be.
It's hard for them not to be. They're the only real effort being put out there in the Truck Series.
Wait a second, hold on. That's not fair. To say that it's effort, I think everybody's trying to win. The problem is
they have the funds, they have the resources, they have the personnel, and they have the teams.
Right. What Harvick said last year to me at the Milwaukee Mile was, hey, look, these guys are running essentially a Cup budget in the Truck Series. And will they be able to do that once they get to the Cup level? We don't know, but I think they have enough money invested already in the Truck Series where it's going to pan out for the next couple of years still.
Yep. I totally agree, and I don't see anyone even coming close to their level of organization. Series champion this year, Johnny Benson.
See, man, why do I have to agree with you for? Man, come on. Can't you pick somebody else?
I'm going to blow you away once I give you my Cup prediction this year, too.
Well, that's my pick. But that's my pick for the Truck Series was Johnny Benson, and I thought for sure I was going to be the only guy. So I have to agree with Gary Katzner, which pains me. So Johnny Benson is my pick as well. I think Benson had a good... Last year was pretty good. He looked strong last night from what I saw. And again, it's a super speedway, so you really don't know. I like Johnny Benson and Toyota, obviously, to come back and dominate again. And I'm telling you, they better be careful. Because Toyota could very well make this whole series extinct if they don't be careful. Because if Chevy and Dodge get discouraged and say, we're done, we can't compete, then what? Then you're going to have the Toyota Truck Series, and it's literally going to be all Toyotas? Who's going to watch?
Chevy's basically already come out and said, we're not really going to support the teams a whole lot anymore. We're not going to develop a new engine for this truck or anything. We're not going to do any major body changes or anything like that. I'd be surprised if Chevy's still in this series in 2 years.
And
Great
Dodge,
point.
too.
Great point. And Dodge, too. Dodge is already down to 2. So I come back. We'll continue on with Sparky's Final Inspection. It's broadcasting live today in the living color from Spokes in Racine, Highway 20, just west of I-94. All kinds of things coming out. Today we have, of course, VFW in the house. They have state raffle tickets going around. It's going on all throughout the state, so big money on the line. It's only $10 a ticket. Proceeds go to help the veterans in Wisconsin. And, of course, Spokes has all kinds of stuff going on as well. Bloody Marys, build your own Bloody Mary bar going on Sundays for race day for only $4. The Spokes happy hour every day from 3 to 6. And on race days, they will have NASCAR glasses to give away as well. If you buy an MGD or a light, again, for only a couple dollars, get that, and get yourself a NASCAR race glass. Very cool thing, and that's going on every race day throughout the season. Coming back, more Sparky's Final Inspection on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. It is Sparky's Final Inspection on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. See Sparky Fifer broadcasting live from Spokes in Racine. Right on Highway 20 west of 94. What is that noise? I don't know if that... Oh, that would be Steve Zautke, who doesn't know any better. So now he's going to have to yell at him.
Now he's breaking the equipment.
Because he has no idea. And Amanda took pictures of it. That was just even better. Amanda and Tiffany helping us out here. Doing a great job, as always.
Documented.
Gary Katzner is here, as well as Steve Zautke of the Milwaukee Mile, as you can hear.
Steve, I
He's in the pits right now.
Touches it, that there's something wrong with that microphone. And now we have a humming
Where
sound
are we?
because of PBS.
What mic is he on?
I don't know. I'm going to turn it off. There we go. John Wiedmann of RacingWisconsin.com as well. Steve, next time, leave it alone. Can't take him anywhere. All right, let's go back.
Track.
Right, exactly. Let's go back to talk what we were talking about. and that is the Busch Series and the way that this thing sets up. So real quickly, let's go around the horn here and get what your predictions are going to be for the Busch Series this year. Will a Cup driver win the Busch Series this year like Kevin Harvick did last year, Steve Zautke?
It could happen.
Now he's got to turn your microphone. Oh, I got to turn it back on. A bunch of 5-year-olds working with us. All right, go ahead.
To be honest, I never thought about it because I don't care. I mean, really, does it really matter who wins?
Wow,
Seriously.
I'm better off than you are.
It's a racing show, so I have ARCA Girl and a go-kart guy.
I mean, I can tell you, I can tell you, there's 17 Cup guys in the 300 today, and there's 6 developmental drivers.
6?
Yeah.
They're really developmenting them. That's good.
Yeah, it kind of
That's not even a word.
It kind of does give a little more fire to your
Argument?
Debate, discussion, whatever. But, I mean, Eric Amarola is probably the brightest star that's in, future star that's in the series. He's definitely a contender. Carl Edwards, I would probably be my pick.
Okay, so you think a Cup driver's going to win it again like Harvick last year? All right.
It depends what the 18 car can do with Eric Amarola.
Okay, John Wiedmann, RacingWisconsin.com.
I was going to pick David Reagan, but he just took somebody else. So.
The weapon.
The weapon has struck again, so I'm going to take, Carl Edwards.
He took
Carl Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys know anybody outside of Carl Edwards in the Busch Series this year?
John
okay, good.
Andretti's in Toyota.
Thank God for Gary Katz.
He's the weapon number 2.
Gary Katz.
John Wood.
ARCA Girl, go-kart guy, and don't forget 2 RC guys.
Right, exactly right. All right, Gary, your thoughts on Carl Edwards, or I should say a Cup driver winning the Busch Series this year?
I gotta agree. I don't care. I don't care about the series this year.
And everyone's...
There's no name recognition this year. There's so many guys splitting their rides throughout the year. It's going to be hard to keep track of exactly who is in what car when. If anyone's got the inside track, it's got to be Edwards. But, to be quite honest with you,
all right,
Steve Wallace has got as good of a chance to win the championship as anyone else.
Just to be fair to everybody, if you actually look at the Busch team lineup, there is, 5 cars that doesn't have 3 or 4 drivers at it?
Okay, good.
So there's basically only 5 guys that have a shot at it.
There's like 12 full-time teams in this thing. Now, who is yours? This should be good.
You should ask us in the late summer.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Who is yours?
I am going to go with Reagan Smith. I really am. The weapon.
Wow.
No, David Reagan.
David Reagan.
David
Reagan is
Reagan.
the
Sorry,
weapon.
David Reagan, yes.
There's
David
2
Reagan.
different drivers.
Reagan Smith is his brother.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So who is it now? Who's
David Reagan.
David Reagan.
I will bet you, Steve Zautke, you, John Wiedmann, and you, Gary Katzner, that Carl Edwards does not win this series.
Will you bet me?
I'll take all 3 of you goofballs, because none of the 3 of you actually even know who's in the series, I don't think.
I'm looking at
none of you care.
So who are you taking?
All 3 of you are lazy. I will simply just take the field against your Carl Edwards. Because Carl Edwards is not
you
winning
need to
it.
pick
You can't
somebody.
take the field. You have to pick somebody.
Why do I got to pick somebody?
Because we said so.
Because you don't know who's running this series
Yeah.
either.
No, not so.
Yes.
No.
I'll jump out. I'll
Tell me
jump
who's
off the
running.
Carl Edwards
No,
bandwagon.
absolutely not. No.
These are 12 cars that are running full
No, that's
time.
fine. Look, this is who I'm going to take. And now I'm really going to get everybody going here, all right? I'll tell you who I'm going to take. I'm going to take J.J. Yaley to win the series this year. Joe Gibbs Racing's very own J.J. Yaley to win the Busch Series. But the bet is...
Vickers and, Hendricks.
I understand. The bet is, if you guys are willing to accept it, that Carl Edwards simply does not win it. So what we'll do is this. If Carl Edwards and J.J. Yaley both don't win, nobody loses. All right? Is that fair enough? And the deal is this. The deal is lunch here at Spokes after the season is done. The first Saturday after the season is done, lunch here at Spokes is the winner has to buy. Fair enough. And considering there's 3 of you, I think you can split my burger. Cost of my burger. I don't know.
His kid-sized meal.
Exactly, right. All right, Gary Katzner, do you accept?
If you guys look at this screwing, I'm in.
You accept. Steve Zautke?
Sure, why not?
You're in. John Wiedmann.
So what happens? What if David Reagan
say
wins?
yes.
Yeah, what happens if
Smith?
David Reagan wins?
She's not involved.
Oh, she's not involved?
No.
Then y'all need to buy me.
Yeah, I'm in.
You're in.
Lunch.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Y'all.
fair enough. So it's
Y'all.
Carl.
Did you say y'all?
Yeah.
I did. Why?
So it's Carl Edwards versus J.J. Yaley for the bet, and Summer has Roush boy David Reagan.
It's a lunch here, so you can't lose either way.
Lunch here, right. Either way, I'm happy. I'm good. But I'm ordering a lot.
I'm ordering cheesecake.
Oh, I'm getting dessert, too. With mine? Oh, yeah. Getting dessert. So I got Yaley. These guys have Carl.
Milwaukee Sports Radio, 1250 WSSP presents Sparky's Final Inspection.
That was the stupidest nickname I've ever heard. Is it? Because I think you wish you thought of it. All right, you got me. That's an awesome nickname.
Milwaukee's live and local racing show. Be part of the show now at 414-799-1250 or 866-999-1250. Now, your host, Steve Sparky Fifer.
What is wrong with you?
I'm on jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I love that.
And NASCAR Girl Summer Santana.
Everyone already knows my standards are low and my morals are lower.
On Milwaukee Sports Radio, 1250 WSSP.
It is Sparky's Final Inspection on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. Joining us now is Bob Pockrass of NASCAR Scene, a newspaper. You can get it off all of your local newspaper magazine stands. Just got my issue on Thursday, actually. Bob joins us now from Daytona, where I'm sure it's a lot warmer than it is in Wisconsin. I'm guessing it's probably in the 60s at most?
We wish. It's more like in the 50s, and I guess for the truck race on Friday night, it's supposed to be in the 30s.
In the 30s for the truck race on Friday night.
Yeah, the 30s, and that's cold for people down here.
You know,
everybody's going to be walking around with 3 sweaters. It's probably nice for the people in Wisconsin, but for people down here, it's kind of a shock to the system.
Now, where are you from? Are you from down south? Are you from the Midwest or out west? Where are you from?
I'm from Indianapolis.
Oh, good.
And if I say I'm an Indiana grad, am I going all the Badgers out there going to hang up the phone or hang up the turn the knob on the radio?
Well, Bob, they may, but the bigger question is, are you a Colts fan?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm more a Giants fan, if you can imagine that.
All right, now I'm going to hang up the phone on you because I'm the only Colts fan in the state of Wisconsin. I was hoping I had some love here, and no, not necessarily a Giants fan. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. All right, let's go and talk some NASCAR. When we look at NASCAR, obviously all the cheating that has gone on over the weekend has been brought to the forefront. The latest, of course, being Jeff Gordon now moving to the back of the field. I had a call on Sparky's Midday Madness wanting to know why Jeff Gordon didn't get as harsh of a fine as some of these other guys did that did it earlier in the week.
Well, Mike Helton says that they believe Jeff Gordon being too low in inspection was a matter of a part failure. And that it was purely unintentional, that there's no way that they could have designed the part to do what it did. It had to be a broken part, and therefore they weren't going to, throw the book at him just for a piece that broke and for something that they said gave him very little, if any, competitive advantage in the actual race.
Talking with Bob Pockrass of the NASCAR Scene newspaper. Just got mine actually on Thursday. Encourage you to go out and buy it as well. It's the best publication out there right now. Bob, when we look at all the cheating going on, and I talked with Dave Coleman of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel earlier in the week on my midday show, and we talked about the fact that, in NASCAR, you can cheat, and people really don't go crazy about it. Yet, if you do steroids in baseball, in which after you do the steroids, you still have to lift weights and go through everything else in order to make that work for you, it goes to Congress. And yet NASCAR, the second most watched sport in America, doesn't really get paid all that much attention to. Makes no sense.
Well, I guess it's a matter of how much you cheat. I mean, what some of these teams did with what they call, trying to massage the gray areas, you might say, well, that's just like football where there's holding on every play.
Right.
You could call holding on every play and penalize them 10 yards. But, that never happened. So...
And then says, I knew nothing of it. Last time I checked, you can't just pick up jet fuel and Kmart and write it off as an expense.
Yeah, that's, if he doesn't know anything about it, how much oversight as an owner does he really have in there? I find it really hard to believe that he knew nothing of it. Maybe he didn't know to the extent of it, but he had to know that they were messing around with something with the fuel. Or else, he's just not a very good owner. So I have a real hard time believing that this was just an act of one individual.
And you look at some of the other cheaters, 3 guys from Evernham Motorsports get nailed with cheating. How is it that NASCAR just doesn't say, everybody at Evernham Motorsports pack up and go home, because obviously this was all, choreographed between the three of you, that you were all essentially going to try and get in by any way necessary. In my mind, Evernham should have been kicked out of the race.
Well, I have 3 words for you. Dodge, Dodge, Dodge. I mean, they sponsor 2 of Evernham's cars. They're one of the biggest sponsors in the sport, in the sense of how much support they give their teams. They are not going to kick out 2 of Dodge's flagship teams for a rule violation that some people, again, will say, was it was a gray area. So, NASCAR says unless you bring an oversized engine of some sort, we're not going to kick you out. But they do hope that with the suspension and the bad publicity, that sponsors and stuff will put pressure on their teams not to cheat maybe as much.
Yeah, but at the same point, if that's the case, then how does jet fuel not get kicked out of a race? I mean, seriously, how does that not happen?
Your guess is as good as mine on that one. I mean, you would think that they would kick him out, and they talked about, well, NASCAR has said, well, maybe we'll kick out the team, but we would still let Michael Waltrip drive for another team or drive another one of his cars in the race if he really feels like, he needs to run. So, it takes something really big to kick somebody out. I think it's been at least 10 years since they ever told somebody, I remember Jeff Burton back in the day being told not to come back after they had a car with some holes drilled in them in the wrong places, and and they did give one team a 12-week suspension back in the early 90s. But yeah, it's hard to get kicked out of this compared to the NBA, where if you slap somebody or elbow somebody wrong, and you're gone for a game or 2.
Talking about Pockrass of the NASCAR scene. It is our RaceTalkRadio.com interview of the week. Do it every week here on Sparky's Final Inspection on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. Let's talk about the race in general now. The front row is pretty much Yates Racing. David Gilliland up in front of the pole position. I like to think this is an aberration, and there's no way either one of those cars is going to win this race.
I'd probably agree with you. Obviously, if either one of those cars, I'd more go with Ricky Rudd based on his experience than with Gilliland. But obviously, the cars that have raced the best here have been Tony Stewart, has been Jeff Gordon. Look out for Kurt Busch. He always seems to run fairly well here at times. And if he can put a full race together, he could be dangerous.
You bring up Kurt Busch. He's my sleeper pick of the year. I really think that Kurt Busch is going to be the guy that's going to make the chase that maybe people aren't talking about at the start of the season.
That won't be a bad pick. Obviously he's real excited with the new Dodge nose. They believe their car will handle better on the intermediate tracks with the car tomorrow. That might really fall into Kurt Busch's hands. He has a lot of knowledge about how the car works. He may be able to pick on that a little bit quicker than some other guys.
What about Ford in this race? Roush Racing hasn't exactly been the strongest in this race, and I got the email the other day asking me who would I pick for this race, and I simply replied by the guy saying, bet on Chevy, don't bet on Ford, don't bet on Dodge, and definitely don't bet on Toyota. Why has Ford struggled so much at this racetrack like Roush Racing?
That's a good question. I just think that some teams really put an emphasis on the restrictor plate races, and maybe Roush looks more at the restrictor plate races as 4 of 36, and they say that, we're going to really throw our resources more at the other 32 than just 4. And yeah, granted, one of them is the biggest race of the year, but we're going to have more of a full season picture than just the Daytona 500.
There are a lot of drivers, obviously, in NASCAR, and a lot of drivers that get hyped up a lot based on their looks, based on who they drive for, or whatever else. My target driver, who I always rip on and say is one of the most overhyped drivers in NASCAR, is
Jamie McMurray.
Thank you very much. You're reading my mind. Yes.
Hey, we didn't discuss that before I went on. No, I just picked that up. Yeah, that's everybody. That's got to be. The thing is that he hangs around 11th, 12th, 13th in points for a few years with Ganassi, and then goes to Roush, which was supposed to be an improvement, and he can't drive at all.
I mean, when they let Jimmy Fenning essentially go from being his crew chief, I said, that's it, I'm done, no more, because Jimmy Fenning was not the reason Jamie McMurray was losing races.
That's true. I totally agree with that. Of course, I think that your driver and crew chief need to have a good combination, need to be a good combination and have good communication, and for whatever reason, they didn't have it. So, but now Jamie McMurray has his hand-picked crew chief, and Larry Carter, and, obviously if he doesn't do it this year, I can't imagine, especially with Travis Boppel and the wings there in the truck, I wouldn't give Jamie McMurray more than...
Wait a second. Hold on. You're acting like Travis Guapolo is a threat to anybody. He's not a threat to anybody. Come on.
As weird as it might sound, I think he's a threat to Jamie McMurray.
Oh, no. Really? You really think he's a threat that they may yank McMurray out of there if he doesn't do well by midway through the season or the end of the year?
I think definitely for the final 10 races, if he went close to the chase, they give Travis their look, or just, Steve just fed up with Jamie. I mean, how much longer does the Jamie McMurray experiment have?
Well, in NASCAR, though, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm not very good with contracts in NASCAR, but isn't that guaranteed money? So isn't Jack still going to have to pay him if they tell him, have a nice day, or does the paying stop once they release him?
No, he's got to pay him his base through the contract.
Right.
Yeah, Jack just got, $50 million, $60 million? We're not really sure from John Henry, so maybe he can afford it.
No, that is a great point. All right, so we said who we thought was the most overhyped driver, Bob. Now, who would be the driver that you think nobody's really paying attention to this year that really might burst onto the scene this year?
I think Martin Truex Jr. Could burst on the scene. He ran really well at the end of the year last year. He won 2 Busch titles. He knows how to drive. His team moved up from the Busch Series and didn't have really a notebook on Cup cars in the Cup Series. They've got that notebook now. I think he'll do better at the tracks and in the non-car tomorrow races. I think the big question for him would be the car tomorrow races and if he gets a handle on that. But I would take it, if you want a dark horse or underrated driver of the year, I'd go with Martin Truex Jr.
Talking with Bob Pockrass of the NASCAR Scene newspaper at racetalkradio.com. Interview of the week. All right, now how can people get a hold of the NASCAR Scene? I know you can go get it at your local magazine and newsstands. Can they get it on the internet?
You can, subscribers can get it on the internet. They can also get a lot of our news for free. Not all the big feature stories, but they can get the regular news for free every day on www.scenedaily.com. That's SCENEDAILY.com. And you can also subscribe right through the website.
Really? Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. I didn't know I could go there for free every day and get it. I thought I had to buy the magazine all the time.
Go to scenedaily.com. Well, I want you to buy the magazine, of course. Today that has some of the bigger issue pieces in it.
Right.
If you go to scenedaily.com, you can go there, you can find the news of the day. You can also sign up and get an email that usually comes out at 3 o'clock every day, sent to your email with all the news from the morning, from the night before in the morning.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. I've got to tell you, one of my favorite things on that magazine, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, are the letters to the editor. I mean, they are great.
We are the pulse of the fans.
You are.
Fans, as you know, are passionate, and so the letters are some of the great. If you think those letters are great, you should see the ones that we can't print.
Oh, now again, you should have, this is what I recommend. You should have a part of that site, of your subscription site, that allows people to read the letters that you can't send for an additional $10 a month or something. Behind the scenes, look at what we couldn't print. That would be classic stuff. Bob Pockrass of the NASCAR Scene magazine. Again, hopefully we'll get you on again before the season's over, Bob, and have fun in Daytona.
Thank you very much, Steve.
All right, sounds good. Bob Pockrass of the NASCAR Scene. That was your RaceTalkRadio.com interview of the week right here on Sparky's Final Inspection on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP.
Milwaukee's live and local racing show, Sparky's Final Inspection. Be part of the field now at 414-799-1250 or 866-999-1250. Sparky's Final Inspection on Milwaukee's Sports Radio, 1250 WSSP.
Hey, everybody, this is Doug Russell. Join me and Mike Wickett Monday morning at 5. We'll talk Brewers baseball. Pitchers and catchers have reported.
Daytona, the NBA All-Star Game, and, we'll talk about practice.
And Miss Katie will join us in studio. All that and more on the Doug Russell Show, Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250, WSSP.
If you've been thinking about giving Dish Network a try, now's the time. Dish Net is offering you 200 channels, including locals and a 2-room DVR for the special price of only $39.99 after rebate. There's no installation fees and no equipment to buy, so there's no excuse not to try the Dish Net's incredible offer. Call them now at 262-786-2480, and the Dish Net will pay your first month of programming. You simply can't beat that deal. You get a 2-room DVR, 200 channels, local programming, and the Dish Net pays for the first month of programming. Unbelievable! Call Dish Net now at 262-786-2480 or log on to dishnet.com.
My job with NAS Recruitment Communications is to consult our clients on the best recruitment strategies in order to help them find great people to fill their open positions. We often use traditional advertising, but last fall, we contacted Entercom Milwaukee to help us with our recruitment needs. Our account executive, Peg Cox, helped us create a radio marketing plan that exceeded our clients' expectations. She recommended an appropriate schedule and took our clients' success personally. The results have been awesome. We will definitely continue to use Entercom Radio.
If your company needs to hire employees, find out how you can harness the power of radio. Call Peg Cox at 414-448-2182. The ownership that brought you famous L&W Fine Meats of Milwaukee now brings you Spokes in Yorkville, the new happening spot in southeastern Wisconsin to kick back with coworkers, friends, and family. Spokes dares you to try their 1-pound USDA Choice Grilled Angus Burger. Make sure you seafood lovers try their ale-battered tailless shrimp or all-week-long fish fry. They also have the best ribs around. Don't believe it? Come in and savor the flavor for yourself. Spokes staff is the best in the restaurant biz and ready to serve you. Stop in or call 262-898-7900 for details. That's Spokes, just off I-94 and Highway 20 in Yorkville, just south of Burlington RV.
Hey folks, Cliff Saunders here. If you were arrested for drug driving or any other criminal offense, would you know who to call? Of course you do. The law firm of Kim and Lavoie. Their lawyers have handled thousands of criminal cases and can help you too. 100% of their practice is dedicated to drunk driving and criminal defense, so you know they're on top of their game. They know that being charged with a crime can be confusing and intimidating. So when you call, they'll give you an honest assessment of your situation and straightforward answers to your questions. Julius Kim is a respected former prosecutor who has litigated over 100 jury trials. Jonathan Lavoie is a seasoned criminal defense attorney who gets results. In addition, in a recent survey conducted by Law and Politics magazine, both attorneys Kim and Lavoie were named by their peers as two of Wisconsin's top attorneys. So, if you or someone you know is in trouble and you need an experienced criminal defense team to help you, call two of Wisconsin's top lawyers. Kim and Lavoie, 262-CHARGED, 262-CHARGED. Kim and Lavoie, they're your best defense.
Hi, this is Nate Amack with Farmers Insurance. The last few months you've heard my commercial on this station talking about farmers, the company I work for, the company I love working for. I'm looking for a few good, hard-working people that want nothing more than to make a good, honest living, work for themselves, and have a passion for helping other people. Helping people secure their future and their family's future. Call me and let's talk about it. Let's see if Farmers is right for you. Call 262-347-2227. That's 262-347-2227.
Hello, this is Pastor Ken Keltner from Brookside Baptist Church. We are located on Pilgrim Road, just north of Capitol Drive. Brookside Baptist Church is a church family serving the Milwaukee, Brookfield, Sussex, and Waukesha areas. God commands us to grow in grace and the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Brookside Baptist Church offers a ministry for men who desire to know more about the Bible and want to be with other godly men who have a heart for serving God. We call it Faithful Men. We meet the second Saturday morning of every month at 7:30 a.m. So fellas, mark your calendars and come and meet with us at Brookside Baptist Church, located at Pilgrim Road in Brookfield. For information, check out our website, brooksidebaptist.org.
Bookmark the official website of Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. Free audio from your favorite show, contest, sports news, and more. SportsRadio1250.com.
It is Sparky's Final Inspection on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSB. See Sparky Fifer with you. Do this racing show every Saturday from noon to 2. If you're a NASCAR fan, talk NASCAR, bush racing, truck racing, IRL, only when it's in Milwaukee. Champ Car, never again, because they're never coming back. And that's about it, right? We covered F1, not really at all.
ARCA.
Cover some ARCA.
RC.
The chick that looks like a boy, Aaron Cracker, won the pole and then lost it this last weekend. So, talking about that as well. NASCAR Girl Summer Santana, a.k.a. ARCA Girl.
Getting any closer, I'll fart.
That would be her. Steve Zautke of the Milwaukee Mile, the team historian. John Wiedmann of RacingWisconsin.com, who's embarrassed just to be sitting by Summer. And Gary Katzner.
He's sitting downwind.
Other side of Summer is here as well. All right, let's get into some of what Bob Honker said. Number one, he said Jamie McMurray in trouble after 10 races if he's not near the chase format.
I hate Jamie.
What?
I hate him.
Okay.
Kick him out.
Steve Zautke of the Milwaukee Mile, I'll start with you. Do you believe that to be true, what he says, that he could be in trouble, A? And B, better yet, do you think Travis Guapel is the answer at Roush Racing?
Well, can it get any worse with the
Never say that.
car?
It always can.
Yeah, it could be.
With the 26 car, no. It gets worse with the 6 car.
Well, yeah,
6 car is the worst that it can get.
All right, but wait a second.
But Crown Royal is a big player in this. It's going to be their decision if...
But there's a lot of money involved here. They just signed McMurray. I mean, it's not like he's in the last year of his deal. And, oh, well, we'll just eat the rest of it.
I think it might
They're
have
going to
been
eat a significant portion of money here.
2-year deal. And I'm sure that there's probably a clause out of there that says, hey, you know, if you're not performing...
I doubt it. I highly doubt McMurray would sign that. I could be wrong. I mean, he is a goofball. Maybe not. John Wiedmann, RacingWisconsin.com. Your thoughts on A, McMurray being in trouble possibly, and B, Travis Kvapil being the guy to replace him?
Well, I think he's in trouble. I mean, this is his last chance to really...
Could you quit hopping around, please?
Shaking the microphone.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I do think this is his last chance. I mean, he was supposed to be the guy, and you know, this is going to be his ride. He almost made the chase for the championship with the Ganassi car, and this was going to be his shot. As far as Travis Kvapil, I think he was hired, number 1, to drive the truck, number 2, to fill in for the 6 car, the 26 car, or whatever, because, I mean, both of those guys should be on shaky ground.
All right, Gary Katzner, Mr. Loud over there. What are your thoughts on McMurray being in trouble?
Microphone now?
Yeah, number 1, McMurray being in trouble, and B, Travis Kvapil being the replacement. Your thoughts?
I don't think that Kvapil's been brought in as a replacement for anything. He's been brought in to drive the truck.
Thank God.
I think Jamie McMurray right now, if anything, is proving that he cannot do anything with his own vehicle. The only time that he's done anything has been in the 40 car.
Right.
And it wasn't even his ride.
All right, NASCAR Girl Summer Santana.
I'd have to agree with John. I think that Travis is with Roush just to fill in where he needs to fill in if he needs to. I mean, he's established. He already knows how to race. He's not a bad racer. They've got good equipment.
He's not a bad racer. Do you not remember him in the 77 car?
I do, but
but that was a research and development team, and in the 32 car. He said yesterday, before the telecast, that this truck team that he's with now, they have better equipment than he's basically ever had in the Cup Series. So he's with the best team right now.
Yeah.
That 16 truck he won.
I got a question here. Eric Darnell, developmental driver. Todd Cleaver, developmental driver.
Todd Cleaver is not going to go anywhere except for back up to his bar. That's about the only other place that he's going to go.
Hold on. All developmental drivers, right? Why are we developmenting them, as I like to put in my new Sparky word? Why are we doing all of this to try and get them up, and we're just going to play the retread game of guys who sucked before? We'll just throw them back in a car because, well, he's been in a couple series before. He knows how to crash better than anybody else does that's coming up. Why not put Kvapil back in the car?
He has good equipment now. I think he has good equipment. He's with a good team, and he's with a good, solid foundation.
So if you put...
He's going to be...
So if you put Ken Schrader in that car, he'd be good?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, you guys.
You obviously saw it in the Truck Series when you put Travis inside Mark Martin's truck. What did he do?
Right, exactly. And that is one situation of one truck.
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
But based on your logic, because your logic was anybody can win with that truck. That means anybody should be able to win with that
Except
car.
Todd would not be able to do it. Todd would be...
Jamie McMurray can't win with that car. So if anybody can win with that car, why can't McMurray?
Why can't McMurray?
Tell me that.
Not
I'm all ears.
Car driver?
Huh?
He's not a good race car driver?
Okay. Steve Zautke?
Travis Kvapil has a NASCAR championship. It's a truck championship. It's still hard to win the truck championship. He's got one.
So you think he's a better...
Darnell doesn't at this point.
McMurray's won one race. That's the only reason why he got the sign with Chip Ganassi.
And that was a team that was on the way to winning the championship. Yeah.
I'm missing something here. Y'all say McMurray stinks, and I couldn't agree more. But Jack Roush is the one that gave this guy all the money. So obviously Jack Roush saw more than the rest of us saw. So why did he give him all the money? Why didn't he give it to Kvapil to begin with?
He's just like Joe Johnson when the factory signed him. Sometimes you sign a guy and it doesn't work out.
Joe Johnson was old, slow, and hurt when they got Joe Johnson. McMurray is young, not hurt,
and stupid,
and at the beginning of his
career, not a talented driver.
He looks like the prototypical 21st century stock car driver. He's good looking, talks well, but he just can't drive.
Just like Gary.
All right, so
Gary,
let me see if I got this right. Everybody on this panel except me thinks that Kvapil is the answer behind McMurray in that car.
I don't think that he's the answer.
No.
He's there to fill in.
Yeah, he would
He's there for the rest of the season. I agree. Eric Darnell is your next Matt Kenseth.
Is McMurray done in the Cup Series if this doesn't work out?
For a while.
No, he moves to Joe Nemechek land.
Yeah, he floats in and out.
Well,
he goes to Red Bull Racing after AJ.
Stephen Wallace is going to need a teammate when he comes up to the Cup Series.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good
still Rusty's sister?
Jamie?
Her daughter, I mean?
No, I don't think so.
No, they broke up long time ago.
But again, it's no coincidence that Larry Carter is now the crew chief for Jamie McMurray. I think this whole Wallace factor plays into McMurray getting Larry Carter, don't you?
Well, you know,
don't you think that's a big factor?
He does crash at least last year he was crashing that 64 Busch car, too.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean,
he didn't do good anywhere.
He already had a problem today in the Busch Series. Robbie, who did you say was on the line?
Mike.
Mike on the west side. You're on Milwaukee Sports Radio, 1250 WSSP. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how you doing, Sparky?
All right, man.
Hey, I just wanted to talk about that jet fuel. You know, believe it or not, it's very easy to get that jet fuel. And it doesn't take much to get you extra power with the jet fuel. I can get jet fuel for myself, for my motorcycle, no problem.
Where do you get it at?
Well, where I get it is a custom bike shop, SD Custom Bikes in Dousman.
And they sell
and, you know,
jet
you get
fuel
it in
for the
about
bike.
like a pint.
How much does it cost?
You know, $20. Not much.
Really? So this is something literally based on that Michael Waltrip, as an owner, may just have not paid much attention to. It's not like you're paying hundreds of dollars to acquire this thing.
Yeah. I mean, you could just mix it in with the gas. Someone could just easily just put it in the gas and just mix it in. You know, no one will know unless obviously if they test for it.
So do you think it was sabotage?
No, sabotage.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could have been an individual person be like, hey, we want to win this. Let's just throw some of this in here. I mean, you don't have to put much to make a difference, because I just put a little bit in my bike and it makes a hell of a difference.
All right. Now, knowing that, Mike, do you think the penalty was justified in what they did to Michael Waltrip with a fine and a 100-point deduction and everything else?
You know, yeah. You broke the rules. You got to pay the price. You know, I mean, if they would have kicked him out of the race, that would have been. I mean, yeah, I think it's justified that he got penalized.
So you think kicking him out of the race would have been too much then?
Yeah, I think that's too much.
All right, Mike.
Too much for adding a fuel adjective?
Yes.
Apparently, yeah. Thanks for the call, Mike. 799-1250, toll free, 1-866-999-1250. Come back. We'll do some fantasy NASCAR. Fantasy NASCAR guy Jeff will join us. Video feature on this show, as well as Polly from Polly's Pub. Your chance to win free food and drink to Polly's Pub in West Dallas, 81st and Greenfield. Do that. All coming up next. Talk some more NASCAR with our roundtable here live from Spokes and Racine. Highway 2994. Get off 94. Head west. It's literally seconds off of 94 west on Highway 20. We'll be here till 2 o'clock, and then we're all hanging out and watching the race after that. So if you want to come down and hang out, feel free to do so right here on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP.
Milwaukee sports headlines when they happen. We are Milwaukee Sports Radio, 1250 WSSP.
Mostly cloudy and 29 degrees in Milwaukee. Good afternoon. I'm Rami Makloff on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. And this update brought to you by Green Bay Packer Youth Football Camps. Have your child learn to throw, catch, and compete the Green Bay Packer way. Visit Packers.com and click Youth Football for details. We start in college hoops where Wisconsin hammered Penn State at the Kohl Center today, 75-49 the final. Alonzo Tucker led the Badgers in points and rebounds with 22 and 6. Marquette will host Louisville tonight for sole possession of third place in the Big East. They'll tip off at 8 o'clock from the BC, and UW Milwaukee visits Drake tonight, 7 o'clock tip from Des Moines, Iowa. NASCAR Busch Series getting things started down in Daytona today with the Orbis 300. At last check, Kyle Busch was leading the pack on lap 57. 2 wrecks in this one of which took out Casey Kane's number 9 car. NBA, the sophomores routed the rookies 155-114 in Las Vegas last night in the Rookie Challenge. Buck center Andrew Bogut had 6 points and 6 rebounds for the sophomores. Slam dunk competition, skills challenge, 3-point shootout, and the Shooting Stars competition from Vegas tonight, starting at 7 o'clock. College hockey, Badgers knocked off St. Cloud State 3-1 last night right here on WSSP. It was an odd power play goal in the first period that put the finishing touches on this one.
Out to the point now, McBain. Left circle, Carlson. Still Bohr without his stick. Out high, Chaudhary. Shoots one, dribbles in. It may have gone off Dow, possibly a Huskies player. Power play goal, 3-1 Wisconsin.
Same two teams from the Kohl Center tonight, starting at 6:30 right here on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. AHL hockey, Animals skate past Peoria 4-3 out at the BC last night. Ads visit Iowa tonight. Puck will drop at 7:05. And finally, in high school basketball, playoff seedings were announced today, and the bracket everyone seems to be talking about, and the one that was announced first here on WSSP Division I, Section 8, where Washington and Marquette get the 1 and 2 seeds respectively, earning them a first-round bye. Bradley Tech gets the 3 seed, number 4 King. Pius is number 5, number 6 is Tosa East. Bayview gets the 7, and rounding it out is number 8 Milwaukee South. And hey, Badgers fans, don't forget you can hear Badger hockey tonight on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. Mike Eves' crew takes on St. Cloud State at the Kohl Center. We'll have the call at 6:30 tonight. Badger hockey and WSSP is presented by Dr. Grant Lemke, DDS, the sedation dentist. I'm Ronnie Mackloff, and you're listening to Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP.
The checkered flag is down. 414-799-1250 or 866-999-1250. Sparky's Final Inspection on Milwaukee Sports Radio, 1250 WSSP. The Doug Russell Show.
Packers versus Badgers. Which one would it be?
It would definitely be the Badgers. I'm actually going to go with the Green Bay Packers, and by far the Badgers. It would be the Badgers. There are way too many young, hot girls at the Madison games. Chicks are taking off their tops, showing those big, beautiful... Yeah, a little peck game every once in a while, a chick takes off her top, but it's some old lady, like a Shar-Pei smuggling papaya.
The Doug Russell Show. Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on Milwaukee Sports Radio, 1250 WSSP.
Why spend more than you have to on your life insurance? Did you know that term life insurance rates have fallen over 60% in the last 10 years? I'm Byron Udell, founder of AccuQuote. At AccuQuote, we monitor the rates, features, and financial strength of hundreds of life insurance products. For example, a healthy 40-year-old can protect his family with $500,000 of 10-year level term for less than $20 a month. Female rates are even lower. And don't forget to ask us about the new term life policies that guarantee your money back even if you don't die. Since 1986, we've helped tens of thousands of people just like you save a fortune on their life insurance. Why not find out how much you can save? Write down this number and call today for your free quote. 1 5-minute call is all it takes. Call 800-339-8082 or visit us at AccuQuote.com. 800-339-8082. That's 800-339-8082. Rates, policy forms, and availability vary by state.
At the tone, the time will be. At the tone, the time will be. The time, I can't do this anymore. I need a break. How would you like to do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? After telling people the time all the time, I've decided to go to Miller Time. Pub, that is. At Miller Time Pub, there's great food, plenty of Miller beer, and you can even lose track of time by watching sports on their many TV screens. And while I have to admit, I'm not a huge sports fan, I'm told that the telephone weather guy, he hangs out there, and I hear he's hot. Pardon the pun.
Going to a game, concert, or a play downtown? Miller Time Pub is the perfect place to kick off the evening or wrap things up. Located on 5th and Wisconsin.
Whether you're going to be downtown for a game, planning on attending the theater, or special event, Miller Time Pub is the perfect place to meet this weekend.
Want to call us after hours? No problem. Program this number in your cell phone. 414-448-2162. That's 414-448-2162. It's the Steam Fitters Local 601 Sound-Off Line. Milwaukee Sports Radio, 1250 WSSP.
Sparky's Final Inspection on Milwaukee Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. It's the only racing show on the radio on Saturdays in southeastern Wisconsin. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Broadcasting live from Spokes in Racine. Just west of I-94 on Highway 20. Great burgers. Want to come down here and check out a burger? I dare you to find a better one. Not to mention the fact that cheesecake, very, very good here. Plan to have some of that as well before I leave. Help is very nice. Mike the bartender. Doing a fabulous job. All right, fine, he swore at me, maybe not. Steve Zautke.
Which makes him exactly like all the rest of us.
That just makes him a bartender in Wisconsin.
Steve Zautke, the Milwaukee Mile. John Wiedmann of RacingWisconsin.com. Gary Katzner of himself. And Summer Santana, Arca Girl, also here in the house. Tiffany and Amanda doing a fabulous job. Bored out of their minds listening to NASCAR talk. But look at it. Also, VFW is in the house. Make sure to stop by and sign up for them as well. $10 per ticket. Literally thousands of dollars to be won as they're doing their state ride raffle for the VFW here at Spokes in Racine. Tomorrow, don't forget, we'll be at Spirits in South Milwaukee, 922 Milwaukee Avenue. If you want to stop by, they have the NASCAR Hot Pass as well. We'll be there from 10 a.m. to noon. $5 omelet bar. Miss Milwaukee Mile, myself, Summer, and Dennis Michelson of StockCarPitPass.com and RaceTalkRadio.com as well. All right, so we're going to do some fantasy NASCAR talk here momentarily with Jeff Smykowski, who was the commissioner of my fantasy NASCAR league for a number of years. And now, because he's lazy, he quit running it. So we'll get to him in a couple of minutes. But first, let's go around the horn and just make our picks, I guess, for the season. Number one, surprise driver of the year for you, Gary Katzner, the guy who's going to step up and surprise me.
Now, you're going to call me a fanboy on this one, but I think if you look at the end of last season and how he's run so far this week, the one car, Martin Truex Jr.
Oh, Truex. All right, so you agree with Bob Pockrass of NASCAR scene.
Yeah, I really do like the chemistry that team has been going on. I'm hoping the only thing that can distract the whole organization is if this Junior Teresa thing drags out past the 600.
All right. Steve Zautke of the Milwaukee Mile.
I hate to agree with that, but yeah, I got to go with Martin Truex too. Also, another car to look at who was looking very strong at the end of the year was Clint Boyer in that 07 car.
Clint Boyer, RCR. John Wiedmann of RacingWisconsin.com swearing it's Zautke because he just took a Sky. All right, John, so who is your guy?
I'm going to go with Michael Waltrip. I think, no.
Turn his microphone off.
Are you smoking crack?
No, because he's Clint Boyer. I was going to say Clint Boyer, so I got nothing now.
You realize Green Bay's not going to the Super Bowl again this year or anything like that.
Well, wait a second here. You could take the same driver.
No, I won't.
Right.
I just
you take Boyer.
Yeah. Clint Boyer. I think he's got a shot at actually making it into the chase.
All right, Summer, your pick.
I agree, Clint Boyer.
Clint Boyer.